So now that we have some guidelines and naming and organization for our application, let's go ahead and do some what-ifs for designing our app structure. So let's start with a simple application, and here's a common starting point. It's a pretty extra small application. Everything's in one folder, and it kind of makes sense here because I only have one view and I've got one service. Not a big deal. And it's all easy to locate because there's only a couple files, and I kept it as flat as possible. But now let's say I add a couple of new features, such as some directives and a new session detail view and controller, and a service for spinner and storage. Now it's getting a little bit cozy in here, so the application is becoming a little bit larger, and I like to follow that rule of 3 to 7 files. It's a guideline basically to find out when is it getting too big inside my folder, and I've really exceeded that here. So one way I can solve this, make it easy to locate things again, is by adding a folder for the services. So here are my shared services, and that contains things like the logger and storage. I can do the session files too in their own session folder, but it doesn't really add too much value here yet. Now I've only got 2 views and controllers, but now we start adding a whole bunch of other features. So here, let's dissect this a bit. We've got the services in their own place, but we also have all these session features. So maybe we can stick those in their own folder. And then we've got all these people features, as I'm calling them. Things like attendees for our event in this fictitious event application. And then I've got speaker details, and then a list of speakers. But I've also got layout stuff too for things like the shell of our application, and the navigation and the layout and menus. So maybe I can organize these a little bit better because, yikes, it's getting a bit uncomfortable in here. And we're only at about 5 views. So now our structure starts to begin to take shape. I needed to get off the flatness a little bit here and add an extra folder depth level to make it easier to find things, to locate them and identify them. So now I've got layout features in one folder, all my people features in another for attendees and speakers. And notice that it's attendees and speakers here. We're not just saying it only have an attendees folder and a speakers folder. They're really related, and the code actually in the back end, it's kind of the same place. So I'm just showing here an example that it doesn't have to just be one particular view and controller in a folder. And then we've got the sessions and their session details, and then our reusable services. So we're really just creating folders to handle the feature depth, and it's going to make it much easier to locate and identify our code, and we're still very flat.